Hey everybody, my name is John LeBaron. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer at Pattern, and I'm excited to give this virtual presentation at the Toy Fair around how influencers, AI, and Amazon are shaping the toy category in 2025 and beyond. Let's get started. At a very high level, I wanted to go over what is happening in this industry. If you are a toy manufacturer selling to consumers, you've traditionally sold into brick and mortar, and you're seeing a bunch of those sales transition over to e-commerce. In fact, globally, that penetration rate of all retail sales sitting within e-commerce sits around 20%. So we still have decades of this transition to happen, but is a fast-growing category. And if you look at where those sales are actually happening, no surprises to you probably, marketplaces are the chief among all of those different places, and customers are flocking there for the breadth of selection, for the speed of fulfillment, and just the convenience. It's way too easy to just order stuff off marketplaces and have it show up on your door a few hours later. So when you look at these marketplaces around the world, this is crazy. One of the things you'll notice pretty quickly is Amazon, of course, but who are all these massive Chinese marketplaces, and what is happening to D2C? It's kind of shrinking. The other thing to really pay attention to is, you may not have heard of this one in the middle, Douyin, but it is the parent company of Douyin is ByteDance, and another very important platform emerging, at least here in the United States, also owned by ByteDance, is TikTok. And what you'll find on the far right, even though it's very, very small today, it is growing crazy fast. Its bigger brother or sister is at 200 billion, and TikTok is going to be at $20 billion in GMV by the end of this year. And we're going to talk about why that's super important in a little bit. Okay, so at a very high level, this is a global phenomenon. It is incredibly complex, and Pattern has spent the last decade trying to nail and scale this whole motion. We ship more than 50 million units every single year to customers via these marketplaces. We have a tech platform that has more than 38 trillion data points, and we're going to get really into why that matters for AI. It's the basis of everything we do. We have billions of dollars in revenue that is happening through this platform, and we're Amazon's #1 seller globally. So we're getting pretty good at it, and we love doing this. We geek out. The reason we're great at it is because we optimize for every single brand and every single product that we work with those brands across this, what we call e-commerce equation. The e-commerce equation is very, very simple, but it's also very complex. At a high level, revenue is a function of the traffic you drive to your listings, the conversion rate at which you convert that traffic into sales, the price at which you are selling, or the basket size, and whether it's in stock. That is availability. If you nail this e-commerce equation, your revenue will grow. So we get super geeked out about doing things and pulling these levers to increase and accelerate brands that we are working with. Thankfully, I'm not going to go through all of this today, but wanted to focus on the first two variables of this equation because they're incredibly important. The first one, generating traffic to your listings. Now, organic traffic is the #1 thing I want you to remember in this. Anyone can pay for traffic to the listings, but it's expensive. Amazon's turned this into a $40 billion industry for themselves, and it's a crazy profit center, and you are probably feeling the pain of that increase in cost per click. So the game here is absolutely, how do you increase organic traffic to your listings? And that's important because most of the lion's share of purchases go to the top spots. So the goal is, how do you get more organic traffic to your listings, and how do you win? How do you make sure that you show up within the top 4 of those listings? So I thought it'd be fun to show you one of the products in this category. I'm going to hop out of this slide deck so we can kind of show it to you live. Okay, so if I go into Amazon, and by the way, this is pretty fun to choose an example because I just realized that I bought this a few years ago for my kids. This is a great product. If I start to scroll through some of the listings or some of the image stacks here, you can see Crayola has done a phenomenal job dialing in all of their content, their titles, their bullets. If I scroll down, they've got great A+ content. So one of the things we're going to do is just analyze what is happening from a competitive situation here. And you can follow along on your brand as well if you want. I'm just going to go to pattern.com. I'm going to scroll over to resources, click on the digital shelf here, and then I'm going to put in the ASIN number. I could search by the name as well, but to be quick, we'll just go into here. Okay. We've got a Crayola bath time activity bucket. Now, this is a slightly different product. We'll go back to the other product that I purchased for my kids a couple years ago when we get into conversion. But I wanted to also show you this quick one here, this playtime activity bucket. Okay, a lot's going on this page. I'm going to come back to this in a second. But what happened when I clicked that ASIN is we analyzed hundreds of thousands of products and millions of keywords. What we did on this left side of the screen is we basically deconstructed all of the different keywords on which this product is ranking organically. So whether it's in the top 10, whether it's in the top 5,000, we really tried to understand where is this product in the family tree of organic search. Then what we do, if I go to this competition matrix over here, what you can see starting to happen in the background is show me all the other products that have a very similar correlated search to this specific Crayola product. And not surprisingly, there's a lot of Crayola products here. But there are also some other products like TubWorks that are also ranking organically across many of the same keywords that this Crayola bath time bucket is also ranking for. So for ease, I'm going to come down and we're going to analyze, okay, from a health barometer, how well are these products ranking organically? And before I do that, really quickly, just to think about this conceptually, its top 5 competitors have an average rating of 4.39. What is this product's ranking? Well, it's 4.4. So it's right in them. It's actually doing better than the digital shelf. Then we start to look at, well, what is the price? The average price of this shelf, $12.31. Okay, this is a little bit of a premium, right? $17, but it's also Crayola. It's the number one brand in this kind of space. So it can command a premium. As we start to kind of look over though, okay, keywords in the top 4. This means how many keywords does this brand have where it is winning has keywords in the top 4, it is winning them? How many? And how many keywords does it have showing up on the first page? And you can see its competitors are actually doing pretty well. 80, 50, 25. This Crayola product only has 4 that it's winning on in the top 4. And on the first page, hundreds of keywords, 561, whereas this Crayola product's only ranking for 85. And this isn't to throw shade, it's just to highlight this product has incredible what we call destiny. It has the ability to go win organically, but for whatever reason, it's not. So if you were the ad manager for Crayola and you were like, oh my gosh, I have great destiny for this product, how do you actually start to win organically and get more organic revenue from this product? What we do is we have something called Destiny that analyzes all of this data and makes data-driven recommendations on the keywords for which you have natural propensity to win or mathematical propensity to win. And so in this case, we actually deconstructed this for this specific product. And you can see high winnability across daily search volume that is also very high. So, keywords like Crayola bath paint in general, bath paints, bathtub paint for kids. All of these are keywords on which this product has natural proclivity to win. So we would pair this data with our algorithmic bidding engine and start to really go through a path to get this product to rank for many of these recommended keywords and turn that into organic revenue for the brand. Okay, next. What you would see happen in this process is you would juice ads on those recommended keywords. And then over time, as you started to win organically, that would turn into free money for you. And you could then start to spend what you used to spend on advertising on those keywords back into the system to advertise on other keywords that you have propensity to win. So it's very, very exciting and it's not complicated, but the math behind it, the AI behind it, and the automation behind it are off the charts. I also wanted to spend a minute going through conversion. Once you start to dial in traffic to the listings or even before, you want to think about how do I better convert visitors, eyeballs, clicks to my listings into actual paying customer. Now, in order to do that, you would want to know what are all the best tactics out there. And if you could know, what are all the different competitors doing? What are the keywords that convert? What are the listing mechanisms that I need to do to convert? And we saw Crayola earlier. They're doing a very, very good job at showing up, but they may not know what are the things we could do to truly pull a lever and drive conversion. And the thing is, we just went through the digital shelf at a product level. The thing is, though, there are millions of digital shelves across all the different keywords as well. And then if you expand that to countries, we're talking about hundreds of millions of digital shelves. So the thought exercise is, again, what if you could determine what things you could do to improve conversion rate across the most listings, across the most keywords, across the most products? And this is almost impossible to do as a human. All of that digital shelf data we pulled together in the last example of traffic, we now do for conversion. And what ends up happening is we generate something called a content brief, which is equivalent to about 25,000 pages of content. Why is it so big? Because we're analyzing all the images, all the titles, all the bullets, everything in that listing, all the keywords that are leading to those pages in the category, and measuring how much traffic is leading to revenue across the full spectrum. Even as we look at images, we create archetypes for each image and show which of those different archetypes lead to conversion at a listing level, at a category level. So it's very, very exciting, and it can only be done by AI. So as we go back to this specific product, air dry clay from Crayola. This is a great product. Let's jump out. We ran a content brief for this specific product, and I'm excited to walk you through some of the results. This is an example of a content brief. You can see there's a bunch of detail around this brand, around the top competitive brand, the digital shelf that we looked at earlier. I won't have time to go through all this, by the way, but at a very high level, there's some really interesting information about all the different attributes that are important in this specific category. And again, we looked at all of the data across all the competitors for this specific Crayola product. And everything with stars kind of shows which are the attributes that are big differentiators, aka they drive a disproportionate amount of the revenue for different products in this category. Is it reusable? Is it, does it include detailed guides? Does it include instructions? These are things that are very, very important that we can mathematically trace back to conversion and revenue in the category. From an attribute standpoint, we can also see which attributes are claimed by this brand and which attributes are in the category are also driving a lot of conversion. In this specific example, Crayola kind of has its bases covered. It is not claiming that it includes tools or includes paint, even though those are important things in the category, because this product doesn't include those things. Now, interestingly, Crayola actually has some products in this space that do include tools, that include paint, and that also include models. So it's very, very powerful. We go through a ton of information and insights related to the reviews of the product, the demographics, which then feed into the social strategy that we talked about earlier, and we'll be talking a little bit more in a minute. One of the things I wanted to talk about a little bit is this concept of orders by top search family. AI does a phenomenal job of analyzing all of this data and bucketing it into these different types of search families. And again, you can see Crayola is crushing this concept of air drying, highly penetrated into that search family. They're doing also a great job on everything related to kids, adults, obviously Crayola as well as its own search family because it's a very strong brand. Now, it's underpenetrated in Play-Doh, but again, that makes sense because this product does not include Play-Doh. Crayola has a different product that includes Play-Doh, and of course, it's probably off the charts in that one. The one example that I saw here that might be interesting for them is polymer clay. I don't know if this product has polymer clay, but if it does, this is an area in which you could absolutely try to drive more penetration. And if you start to click on some of these, you will start to see, search volume, digital aisle orders, a lot of detail straight up by the search family. Okay, the last thing that I want to mention on the content brief before we get to the influencers is this concept of the content insights related to both the titles, the description, the bullet points, as well as the images themselves. And you can see the AI does a phenomenal job of pulling together all of the different recommendations on best hits. You can also see it will go directly into this specific product in question and show that okay, the best content mentions moldable, suitable for various tasks, job completion. And this title for this product may not be mentioning those, so you may want to. The other piece of this is going straight into those archetypes of the images that we talked about. It will aggregate all of the archetypes across the category and basically show where there's an opportunity where archetypes are converting at a disproportionate rate. Again, you can see Crayola is doing a great job. They've claimed, or they're using a lot of the archetypes that are very popular on the y-axis, as well as they're converting well. But you could start to look in what are some of the archetypes we're not using that maybe aren't as frequent but are converting at a very high rate. So an alternate product shot, an appeal to quality, a look inside. Those are all examples of high converting archetypes that this product is not using in any of its image stacks today. And there are strategies at the end of this that are recommended that you take advantage of based on all of this data, all of these competitors. So if you are a brand manager or a content manager at Crayola, you could run one of these content briefs and have almost an infinite number of possibilities and recommendations to go do that are data-driven and helpful for you. Okay, the last thing I wanted to cover before we wrap up is this concept of social commerce and creators and influencers. What I'm showing right here is phenomenal. It's very busy, but at a very high level, you have a bunch of generations. This is in the US. And what you're seeing a very clear pattern is the way that people discover products is changing. It's changing across all of the different generations, but it is skewing particularly well toward the younger generations. This is no surprise. The way Gen Z, the way many of the new alpha generation are discovering products is through social media, is through social content, and is through influencers. And if you are a toy brand and are not taking advantage of this trend or reacting to it proactively, you are in big trouble. So Pattern is doing this as well. We are getting busy. We are one of TikTok Shop's biggest partners today. We're working on Meta. We're working across all the social platforms, recruiting influencers, paying influencers, measuring influencers, communicating with influencers to make sure that the best brands get their unfair share of the revenue and attention from these rising generations. If you come to Pattern and work with us, we will show you how many influencers there are in your category. What is the average conversion rate? What are the average commission splits for these influencers? It is a tough, brutal, crazy world, but it is driving an unfair share of the growth across e-commerce today. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. The last thing I wanted to mention really is just about fulfillment, staying in stock. This is the last piece of that e-commerce equation. And again, we do a phenomenal job of helping our brands stay in stock. But if you need help with D2C fulfillment, if you're selling yourself on Amazon, but just want someone to help you with this logistics, there is nobody better in the game than Pattern. We have a host of different products and solutions across fulfillment, services, software, and of course, our core accelerator model where we actually buy your inventory and resell it while providing all this technology, these services across the different solutions. We want to help you. We love this stuff. We do it globally. Reach out to my email, call my cell phone, let us give you one of these scorecards, and I hope to talk to you soon. Thanks so much.